Will Cambodia find lasting peace? Pageantry has replaced the killing fields, but many still want the hated Khmer Rouge brought to justice for past atrocities. The most dangerous job in the world, yet firefighters have been queuing up to cap the fiery oil wells in Kuwait. And we follow the making of the latest Disney feature, which critics believe is destined to become a cartoon classic. Good evening. In Cambodia today, people have taken to the streets in a festive mood as they celebrate the return of the former king after 13 years in exile. Prince Norodom Sihanouk will again take up a dominant role in politics as head of Cambodia's Supreme National Council. His return has raised hopes of securing lasting peace in a country racked by civil war for more than 10 years, and before that by genocidal policies under the brutal Khmer Rouge. Cambodia is still living in the shadow of this terrifying regime. The Khmer Rouge is allowed to participate in the present government, even though it ordered the deaths of 1 million people between 1975 and 1979. Lindsay Taylor from Channel 4's News looks at life in Cambodia today.
Cambodia, a country steeped in Buddhist tradition and ceremony. But this is no ordinary occasion. This is a march of regeneration. The statue is being restored to pride of place. Less than 2 decades ago, it and the religion it enshrines were cast out in a ruthless restructuring of society. Now the 3 gods it represents are being resurrected. One looks after Cambodia's people, another its armed forces. The third, Cambodia's royal palace and family, now returning to the country. This splendid palace in the capital Phnom Penh will once again be home to Prince Norodom Sihanouk, former ruler of Cambodia. His return marks the start of a massive United Nations-sponsored operation here to bring peace and democracy after years of bitter fighting. With the prince acting as unifying force, the UN, in an unprecedented move, will effectively take over the running of the country while it organises elections. For Cambodia's reformist Prime Minister HUN SEN, here returning from an official visit to Australia, the new changes signal both success and failure. He's brought his country to a process which he knows could ultimately guarantee his government's survival. At the same time, he's been forced through economic hardship and international pressure to accept what he once said he never would. In this building, the 3 warring factions, which until recently were locked in battle against Hun Sen's government, will sit down with it to form the new Supreme National Council headed by Prince Sihanouk. It may seem like reconciliation, but there's widespread concern here about the presence of one group round the table, the Khmer Rouge. This man once had to flee Pol Pot's forces. Now, as architect here, he's designing rooms for those who would have killed him. For many, it's unthinkable. As the 4 factions prepare to meet here, Cambodians hope the United Nations-monitored agreement will signal peace for the country in the future. But any sense of optimism is tempered by deep feelings of anxiety and uncertainty arising from events still too fresh in memories here to be referred to as the past. Cambodians are surrounded by reminders of the Khmer Rouge years in which, under Pol Pot, more than 1 million people were killed. At this museum, a former Khmer Rouge prison camp, people gaze in disbelief at the endless lines of photographs of victims who perished. The scale of the suffering under Pol Pot is impossible for us to imagine. Nor can Pol Pot's own brother begin to comprehend. Once, Lot's son was director of protocol at the Royal Palace, his wife an MP. Now they live in this run-down block of flats, bitter about the infamy brought upon the family.
My brother committed barbarous crimes against his own people. He has destroyed the family name, which used to be highly respected. He has killed so many people. Even now, if he came to my home, I would not see him.
In 1975, CHAM PRASIDH, a key advisor to HUN SEN, was a senior banking official. Wearing glasses, he would normally have been executed by the Khmer Rouge as an intellectual. But his lenses were so thick, he was able to convince them he was blind. He survived. His family did not.
Personally, I lost 86 relatives in all. I lost all my parents, my grandparents, my sister, my aunts, my cousin, and in all 86 persons. It is a very big hardship for me.
From the archives of Cambodian television, evidence that the people in command today are the same people who were responsible for such atrocities. The documentary shows Phnom Penh totally emptied of its people by the Khmer Rouge, the notorious killing fields, and the man responsible, Pol Pot, working in the cotton fields. With Pol Pot, his right-hand man, Khieu Sampan, still a prominent figure today.
This picture of Pol Pot, yes, and he's Khieu Sampan in 1977. And this picture, Khieu Sampan last month in PICC, Paris International Conference.
So the same person now prepares to take his seat on Cambodia's Supreme National Council.
You should understand how what bad feeling I have when I have to shake hands with the Khmer Rouge. But I have forced by circumstances to do this because this is for the sake of national reconciliation. And if you would like to get rid from the Khmer Rouge, you should get rid from them by political means, because by military means it may take many years more.
Against this background, more than 200 of Cambodia's top party officials and civil servants from across the country meet in secret to discuss the country's political future, including the place of the Khmer Rouge. Present was Prime Minister HUN SEN, who afterwards, in an exclusive interview with Channel 4 News, spelled out the problems posed by the Khmer Rouge return.
My concern now is how we can protect the Khmer Rouge. It is said that there might be demonstrations against them in Phnom Penh, and if we don't protect them, they will not be safe. But if we use our police to stop the demonstrations, we shall be accused of violating human rights.
HUN SEN's government